Welcome to Resilient Love Podcast.
Join hosts Quentin and Brianna as they discuss tips on love, life, and
business.
Let's get into this next episode. Hey everybody. We're back with another episode of Resilient Love. And so we have a very special guest with us. Her name is Miss Audrey, and she is an international, can I repeat that? International relationship coach and qualified therapist and a published author. So we welcome you to the podcast, and we want to share the floor and allow you to go ahead and give a little bit more about how you got started in your business.
Thank you. Thank you, Matt, very much, Brianna and Quentin. Thank you for having me on. I'm really excited to be here. Can I disclose it's actually my first podcast? I might be a little bit nervous, bear with me, but it's good. It's all good. So how did I get where I am today? Look, I knew from very earlier on that I wanted to, work for, run a business. I wanted to help and support people, but I also wanted to do that on my own terms, in a sense. And I didn't really know how to do that. And so I was working, in many jobs in my industries, for other people, and I knew that there was a real creative side to me that wanted to come out. And so I would channel that in other areas. But I wasn't actually focused on the piece that I know that I can do well, and I know that I can help people with. And that is something that's always been with me, even since I was a small child. I think in my family, I've always felt that was a bit of a mediator. I can see both sides, of the story, so to speak, and try to reach a bit of a compromise. And that was something that I've always I've taken on that role, or I feel it's kind of been assigned to me, but I've always tried to be that person. And it morphed into a bit of a career, with the social work training, with the training as a counselor and a therapist, and now the relationship coaching. So I knew that at some point it's a natural progression for me to be able to marry that creative part of me, that part of me that also wants to be supportive and helpful and reach more people and share what I have, instead of keeping that quite exclusive and being shy about it. It's like, I'm not doing myself and I'm not doing the community or, the world a service by keeping what I have small and to myself, and only to a handful of individuals or certain people at a time. So I knew, and that voice was shouting even louder and louder, and until I actually took a step out. In fact, I'll tell you the story, what made me actually make that leap. I was actually working for health at the time, and that's right. And so my children were in school, and I really wanted to see, I think the oldest one was in her last year of primary school, and I really wanted to see the play. I really wanted the end of term play and things like that. So I wanted to leave, that's right, it's come back to me. I wanted to leave work about 10, 15 minutes early. Literally, it was like 10, 15 minutes early to get to the school play. And I remember sitting, so I was called to the office, and I sat in the office, and there was this young man who was the manager at the time. And the reason why I say he was young, I'm sure he's half my age, I'm sure. But anyway, I was a young man. And there I was, big old woman. I was saying to myself, sitting there, asking this young bloke for 10 minutes to go and see my kids. And there we were, negotiating this 10 minutes, whether I was going to dock my pay or whether I had to make it up, all this sort of thing. And I sat there and I had a massive epiphany. And I thought, what are you doing, Audrey? What is that? This is how has it come to this? Has it come to, you're sitting there negotiating 10 minutes to see your kids? And so that day I went home, I spoke to my husband, literally it was like that. And I said, cannot do this anymore. And next day I wrote my resignation and handed it in. I had no job to go to. We were renovating our house, but I knew my whole fiber of being that was it. Enough was enough. It was time to go. And once I did that, I cannot tell you the relief. Yes, of course, I was nervous. I wasn't nervous when I was handing it in. I had a clear conviction. I knew exactly what I needed to do. But after you've done it, you sort of wake up the next day and think, did I just do that? Did I really just do that? Did I actually do that 24 hours earlier? No, I didn't. So then I had that moment, but that moment passed because I knew then that forced me to do the thing that I know that I was created to do. So that was that's what happened. That was what happened that led me to think, right, this is no more begging for time off, no more trying to leave a bit early, no more trying to fight for annual leave, just no more. I kind of reached that limit. And that's when I realized I need to step out. I need to step out and do me in my business. So that's the story behind that.
Wow.
Wow.
That's good. I mean, just off the intro, everybody, when you have that feeling that there's a bigger purpose on the inside of you, don't let the corporate hustle stop your God-given purpose.
Absolutely.
Because we get caught up.
Right. And I like the fact that you didn't give yourself time to think about it as much. Like it's time to go.
Next day it was time to go. And I thanked him. And in my resignation, I thanked him. I said, thank you for that, because you kind of really showed me that there's a bigger pathway for me. So I thanked everybody that gave me all that headache and pressure. And I said, I really thanked them genuinely, and said, if it wasn't for that, it wasn't for you guys, what happened there, I probably still would be in that situation today. So I thank you for paving that way for me in that way.
Thank you to all the pressure pushers.
That's it. I like that. The pressure pushers, they're there for a reason.
It's a good lesson. So I'll jump right into our second question. Our podcast is centered on love and life. How about your love life? Can you share a piece of the story with us?
Yeah, love and life. Yeah, love life. So I met my husband in the early 90s, so you can start to work out the time frame. And we celebrated our 30-year anniversary a couple of weeks ago, September the 9th. That's right. And we can't believe it's been 30 years. So I met him when I was kind of like a bit of a new grad. When I came out of uni, just doing my social work training, my course and everything. And that was one of my first kind of main jobs, working with a big local authority in London. And I was drafted on, there was a part of the course, part of you're meant to do like your mental health training. And what that actually means is that you're qualified to be able to do mental health assessments to kind of, commit people to hospital. It's quite intense, and it's quite, you had to do that part of the training, but you had to be a fairly, older, more experienced professional to get on that course. And I was a new grad, so I wasn't really meant to be on that course. But because I was kind of like a super social worker, got all my work done, I was showing some, potential, etc. They had a gap. They had a gap on that program, and so they put it out there. Who'd like to do that? Who would like to fill that gap? And I put my hand up and said, "Well, you haven't been here that long." But they came back and said, "No, Audrey, we can see what you're doing. We're going to let you take that space because it's really reserved for much more experienced, seasoned social workers." Mm-hmm. So on that course, that's where I actually met my husband. On that course. And I said to myself, if I hadn't gone on there, maybe we would never have met. So we both worked in the same local authority in different departments. And, I must admit, it wasn't like love at first sight. I wasn't like, falling all over him. He said, well, I had eyes on you, but I was like, oh, okay. And we just, so it was like an intensive, I think it was a 4-month program. So we were there every day in the classroom. Or rather in the classroom. We were there every day learning the tools and the tricks of the trade, etc., and doing group work and doing lots of stuff together. And what I noticed about him, he was very funny, he was very witty, and he'd come up with these, while we were talking about really serious, intensive stuff about clients' rights and the police's rights and that sort of thing, he would come up with some wisecrack or some silly joke or something and completely have everybody laughing and thinking, oh my gosh, this guy's nuts or something. And what I also noticed about him was that he wasn't somebody who ran with the pack, who ran with the crowd. He seemed to be quite happy to do his own thing, go off and go for a walk, go and have lunch on his own if he feels like it, doesn't want to be part of the group. I just noticed that he was just a little bit different, doing his own thing and comfortable. He was comfortable in that. I didn't get a sense that, he was anxious or nervous or just wanted to be in his own. He was very comfortable in his own skin. Anyway, we just kind of, we just became friends. I moved into my own flat. I had a garden. I knew that he was interested in gardening on the side. And he did it as a little bit of his side hustle. And so I asked him to come and do my garden for me, because he did landscaping and that sort of thing. And then as a result of that, he said to me he was going away on holiday. Can I look after his plants? Well, as my mum would say, how come this man's plants is still at your house and he come back from holiday? Why can't he come and get his plants? My mum's from Jamaica, Caribbean. Anyway, and I noticed that he'd make lots of excuses not to pick up the plants after he's come back from his holiday. And then he said to me, if he picked up the plants, it would mean that he wouldn't have access to me and he wouldn't have contact with me. It might end it. So he left the plants there as long as possible so he can keep talking to me, keep coming round and all that sort of thing without taking the plants.
Oh.
So the plants sort of stayed and he stayed in a sense. So that's how we kind of met. And he's a lovely human being. I feel very blessed. He's very kind. He's very gentle. He's very patient. He needs that with me. He's very patient with me. He's just a lovely soul. He's a lovely soul, a very kind and gentle, lovely soul. Irritates everything out of me like I do him, but the core of his being as a human is beautiful. And here we are. We had huge challenges because we've lived in a few countries, and therefore we had to rely exclusively on us, as a couple, as a family, none of our usual supports around us. And we were able to do that. We were able to pull it off and still remain in our relationship. So big up my old man, love him.
Ah, you am I still kind to the core?
Oh yeah.
I had to do my own quick assessment.
Sometimes too kind.
Oh, you can never be too kind. You can never be too kind. It's how your good lady here responds to that.
See, and that's cute. He's a sweet soul. And he had the same, honestly, I was like, Lord, she describing my husband too. I said, look at that. So that's so powerful. That is so powerful. Like, just the fact that you have such a foundation in your own marriage that it sparked that international relationship coaching. It sparked you to say, I want to impart in others. And so that's why we want to get into what inspired you to go. And I kind of felt it when you shared about your relationship, the inspiration. But what are the founding principles around your coaching? What's the name of the coaching? Let's get into that.
Okay, but the founding principles of my relationship coaching and the program that my program is called the Relationship Transform Program. So I'm a firm believer of uncomplicating things, because life in itself is complicated. Relationships are complicated. And so I'm always looking for a simple solution, or to help people understand simple concepts and theories so they can go away and implement it. So I'm not talking lots of jargon and lots of industry speak. So people can say, yeah, I think I can do this. I can do this. So the principles, therefore, I can sit here and say I have so many founding principles and it's all founded in theory and research. I have two.
Okay.
The two principles are humanity and community. And that's all. It's founded on humanity and community. And the reason why I say that, because I know that in all of the years that I've done this work, when people come and see me in my private practice, etc., or work with me, a lot of the times, I would say 90% of the time, it's a relationship thing or issue, whether it's a relationship with somebody at work, whether it's your own personal, intimate or significant relationship, whether it's a family relationship, whether it's friends, neighbor, community, somebody in your church, or wherever that looks like. There's always a relationship thing behind that. That's driving that anxiety, that's driving that distress, that's driving how somebody's showing up, not necessarily happy. You could be putting on your big corporate face or have a wonderful job and doing really well. You come home, you're unhappy, you're miserable because you're not happy with your significant other. Something's not quite right. Mm-hmm. So your core important relationship is not right. Something's not good there. And if your core important relationship is not functioning well, it's not supportive, you're not thriving and flourishing in that, it has the potential to affect every aspect of your life. So if you think about it as a human being who you touch in your life, you've got friends, you've got your own community, you've got people at work, And so if you're not showing up, if you feel that you're not being honored in your relationship, or you're not being shown up in your not showing up in your relationship the way you want that to look, it's going to have a knock-on effect on how you communicate with your family members. It's going to have a knock-on effect on how you communicate with your friends, even at work. You can show up at work, as I said, with a smiley face. Someone does something, you get completely irritated and cross. And you think, where did that come from? You have no time for them, because at home you're irritated and cross. Because at home it's not working for you. So you kind of, that seeps out somewhere. So if you imagine all of us in the world walking around in difficult relationships, what do you think the impact's going to be? The domino effect's going to be. Yeah. Everybody you meet and touch, you're going to show up in a way that's not yourself. You're going to be upset. You're going to be short-tempered. You're going to be irritated. You're just not going to be you. You're going to be pretending all the time.
Yes.
Because the relationship that matters to you, I hope that makes sense, it's not well. So I realized, does that make sense? Is that making sense?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's I'm just taking it in. I'm in class.
Okay. I don't mean to make it be in class. Just, once I get started.
I like the simplicity of it.
Simple. So when simple. So when you know yourself, that when you're feeling loved and supported and all of those things, you walk out your front door with a bit of a smile, a hop and a skip. You touch the next person. You might want to smile to your neighbor. You might feel good when you go to work. You might want to tip the cafe person. It resonates in your community. It resonates as a human. So I realized that, my gosh, just doing this relationship work, that can spread and touch so many people by working with what's wrong, by working with the core of what's not right, and helping people to see that they can have an impact once their core relationship is sorted. Can you see how that could, the ripple effect in terms of what that looks like? As a human being, you're at your best. As a human, if you're at your best as a human, of course that's going to resonate in the world. Of course you're going to show up with your kids and with your family members and people that's important to you. And that has a knock-on effect. So therefore I realized that this work is more than just what I'm doing here with people. It's actually bigger than me. If I really sit down and think about it and put a perspective on it, it has the potential to touch many lives. Yes. You can touch one or two or a couple or an individual in a sense. So that's my founding principles: humanity and community. Get the human being to a place where they can do good stuff. It's going to have a ripple effect in your community, in your communities. So that's my principle.
That's good.
That is.
I'm already thinking about how people need to go ahead and purchase this course, because this is going to not only help them, but the coaching and the inner work. That's the thing. When we get that inner man together, we can deal with the outer man, as in these other folks.
Absolutely. That's right. And I didn't even touch on that. And because I have that therapeutic background, in a sense, I can tell and I know when there is a blockage or when something's not quite right. You can pick that up, you can sense it, and you can actually go there. You can actually go to that space without fear and worry that, I'm out of my depth. I don't know what I'm doing, because I kind of, what's the industry I've worked in a sense. So I could see and pick up and detect that inner work, what's going on there, and kind of touch that, clear that out, so they can actually move forward and do what they need to do in their relationship.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I feel like I just had a session.
I know.
I asked what the sessions look like, but this was one right here, everybody. This was your session. This was the preview.
And again, that simplicity, because most people run for the safety net of, I'm just not going to deal with it and I'm going to move on. Mm-hmm. But to cut all the jargon and just dive right into 2 simple steps, that's powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Because what you learn, that's a life lesson there. So things that you learn on the Transform program, which is around literally managing conflict. Where is that coming from? How are you communicating? Not taking that for granted, taking action at the right time. Also looking after you. How are you showing up? How are you taking care of you? Not taking care of you, how do you give back? Looking at goals, and not goals in a very kind of superficial way, or even values in a superficial way. Really dig into it, because often when people are stuck in their relationship and when there is conflict, it is underpinned by a particular value and a particular belief. And often people need to think about, well, where does that come from? How have you developed that value and belief? Where did that come from? And that's why we dig a little bit back and we say, okay, it's come from your first modeling of relationships, your parents or your caregiver. And so we unpick we unpick that. So once people get that and when they realize, oh my gosh, they get that, where that's come from, how they form their own beliefs and how their beliefs and values is impacting their relationship in a way that's not necessarily a good way, clashing all the time. Once they get that, it's like a big ha-ha moment, then they're at the point where they're ready to transform and change that way of thinking, because you can.
That was good.
That's good.
I'm like, sign up today. Sign up today.
Come on in, Brianna.
So
excited, yes.
I'll jump right into the next question. And this is an interesting one that I'm looking forward to hearing the answer.
Okay.
What is a common myth concerning your profession / business that you would like to debunk?
Oh, it's a good one. Actually, that's a good one because I've never really thought about myth. And yeah, it's interesting. It's a good one. Yeah. Got me on that one. Let me think. Okay. I try not to. Okay, so I look at a handful of people, even less than a handful of core people who I really love the work that they're doing and the impact that they're doing. I try not to make it my business to go a bit wild on the internet and Google every single body that's doing this work, because I don't sometimes find that's helpful. I think it's overwhelming and it could be confusing, and sometimes it dilutes your own message, which I don't want. Yes. So yeah, you just need to be careful of that. You need to protect your, I was going to say brand, because I think that's what it is, a brand. You need to protect your brand and your knowledge and what you kind of stand for. And so I'm very careful of who am I looking at and the work that they're doing, but it certainly isn't a big broad net. I'm not going to every Tom, Dick and Harry. So therefore I haven't thought about what are the myths in a sense that are around. But this is what I'm going to say to that. I think that when people are working with a relationship coach or working in this space, that there could be a myth, I could be wrong, but there could be a myth that they think that us as the coach or the expert, so to speak, or the professional, their relationships and marriage is like perfect. Like they don't have no problem. They're perfect, and they've got the most perfect marriage, and they're like picture postcard, glamorous couple, the lot. That's not true. So that's possibly a myth. And one of the things is that I say and talk about when I talk about my, in my book, etc. I say that, I've done this work because I've come from a place that I see you and I hear you and I know exactly what that looks like. And my husband and I, we fight, of course we do. And sometimes we don't, we go to bed with an argument, So sometimes some of the things that we say, try not to, we've been there, we've done that. We are so far from perfect. And I don't want to be perfect. So I don't believe there are perfect human beings. We're not perfect. We're made imperfect. So I'm not looking for couples who want perfection, who want Instagram looking relationships. Not interested in that. We argue, we get on each other's nerves. We have moments where we're like, I just don't like him today. If he thinks that she's driving me nuts today. We have all of that. So I think the myth is that people may think, I could be wrong, but I just think the myth is they think that people who are working in this space, relationship coach, their relationships, they've got it together with their relationships, it's the best. And no, we have to work at it. Yes. We work at it in the same way that when we're working with you, we expect you to work at it. Because if you don't work at it, you have to work at it, because we've been, in terms of me and my husband, we've been married for a long time. So of course we change, our views and values change as we grow into the marriage and the relationship. We've had some challenges. It's how we deal with them, with dignity and respect, what that looks like. We have to work towards that, in a sense. We've had situations where we don't have family to run to and cocoon us. We don't, we've lived in various countries where we haven't had friends. We've had to build that. We've had to rely on each other for certain things. And sometimes it gets too much. It gets overwhelming. And sometimes your partner may not deliver for you in that way, and vice versa. So you have to kind of be okay with that and acknowledge that your partner is a human, just like you are. They're not perfect. Yeah. So for you to expect them to be your perfect person because you don't have something else in your life. It's a bit of a tall order. It's almost a bit unfair in a sense. So I'm going off topic here. Let me just give myself back. So back to the myth. I just want to say that just because we are a relationships coach, I'm working in this space, we've had our challenges too. So the myth is, there could be a myth that says that we're perfect and we know what to do and we know how to resolve every conflict and we know all that. Yes, we know the principles, and yes, I do try my hardest to apply it and all of that. And that's made a huge difference to my relationship and to my marriage today and to other relationships, my children, to other relationships when I see how they're showing up in a sense. So I think that might be a myth that I want to debunk, that we're not perfect by any stretch. And that's what I just want to, I think that's what I can say to that. I mean, another relationship coach might say something very different, but that's all I can say is that I think the more authentically we show up, and I know that word is bandied about a lot. Nobody wants to be authentic, etc. Just be yourself. People just want to see you be yourself. There's enough glamour and photo, what is it, shocked and all sorts of things out there in the world. They just want to see the real human with the real issues, that understand and can connect to what your issues are and what your problems are.
Yes.
I don't know if that's answered the question.
That's good. That's good. And honestly, that is something that has kind of stirred around in general. When somebody says I'm an expert, they forget that there's still that humanity of the expert. We trust our doctor, but there's some humanity even in medicine. They don't know every trick.
That's right.
So, and I mean, I look at you as a relationship doctor. You're going to prescribe the medicine based on the symptoms, but there still has to be some work internally to make the medicine do what it's supposed to do.
So, and it makes that point. It just made me think about, most people want an instant shot where they can just get fixed. But I guess, and I'm sure you've seen it, where most people are not willing to put in the real work. They think it's a pill that just cure all and we're going to be okay.
You're so spot on. That's right. That's right, exactly. And when you tell them, you say, look, if you really want that transformation, I say to them, how long have you been sitting in this pain? Tell me how long. They say years, months, etc. So goes, what? So you're telling me you can't take 8 weeks out of your life to kind of fix that up? So the pain is no longer there. And you're absolutely right. They want that quick fix because we live in a world where we have access to so much so quickly. Press a button, you Google this, you Google that. And people, you're right. People, they don't want the pain, but they're also weary, and they don't want that to actually do the work, take action. And actually, exactly what you said, actually, take that time and space to actually do the work and fix it up. Yeah, man. I agree 100%.
Yeah, this is good. I love it because you give a very holistic approach, getting the whole man and woman together. Because if Brianna's having an issue, I have to get my issue straight and not put it on my spouse, right? Because sometimes we always let us say, well, he's not doing ABC, but it's not that person. It's really you not expressing the necessary things to get to the real solution. So that's a good point. That's a very good point.
That's a very good point. You're absolutely right. And what I see, particularly in couples who've been together for quite a while, is that we are mind reading experts. We can we start to mind read what your partner thinks or should be doing, and they have no idea because you're not telling them, but it's all up there. You say, why hasn't he put out the bins or paid the bills or whatever? I don't know what he should be doing that. Why is he not doing that? But sometimes you're meant to just give your partner a prompt and say, hey, can you just do that for me, sweet? Or something like that. And they're like, yeah, I'll take out 10 bins, no problems, and off they go. So that assumption, and it's all up there. But I also think you're absolutely right. Sometimes I see this a lot when couples bring an issue, and it's always the other person that needs to be fixed. And so there's certain questioning and a way of going into that session, as a relationship coach, to kind of get a sense of who initiated the the visit, who initiated
Right.
what's going on here, who made that call, who looked for the therapist, what's going on, and then you got something to work with. But you got something to work with. So it takes two. It always takes two. Although one person may be the leader in bringing the issue, it's about the both of you in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So for the famous question that we ask almost everyone, through all your experiences and challenges you've shared, how has this made you more resilient?
Oh, yes, the key. Gosh. How's it made me more resilient? It's interesting that because I never really saw, although I've used that term and talk about it in my work and everything else and know what that means in terms of resilience and grit and all of that, I never really looked at that. I never really thought of myself as it's a bit of odd. It's interesting you said that, as a resilient person. I never really sat down and think, Audrey, it never really occurred to me. It was always something that I'm helping somebody with, or I'm helping someone to get to that space and be resilient. But I never thought about it, for myself, how has it made me more resilient until I think, being with my partner for actually about 32 years. Obviously, we were married, we were going out for 2 years before we got married. But anyway, what was I going to say? Looking back at our challenges and our experiences and the makeup of our family and all of that, I couldn't believe that. You think, did we really do that? Do we have that life? We packed up both our jobs. We packed up our jobs and said, let's go and live in South Africa or somewhere, which we did. We lived in Cape Town. Mind you, my daughter's godmother was in Cape Town. Mm-hmm. And we went and lived there for 6 months, not long after apartheid regime collapsed. Oh. And so we went there, and our family makeup, probably would have been illegal once upon a time. And all my family and friends were saying, why do you want to go there for? And all this sort of stuff. But, we picked up ourselves and we went, packed up our lives in London, we went. And then we did it again. We came back to London. We packed up our lives. We lived in France for all that time. Don't forget, we don't speak French. So where are we going? We went there, did some work there, lived a rural life there and all of that sort of thing. And then, and then we ended up obviously in Australia. And so all of those things that we've done, despite the odds, we're picking up ourselves, whether we had, before we had children, and then when we had our children, and we've moved about. So that takes, you're trying to fit into a community, make new friends, set up a home, make a living, all of that sort of thing. So that takes a certain amount of resilience to be able to do that, mm-hmm. and not crumble and run back to the UK where I'm from and run back to what I know. We just kept building and building on top of those experiences. And we had huge challenges. We're not on the same page, all that sort of thing, but we were able to work through that with some level of dignity. And I suddenly realized, oh my gosh, did we actually do that? Did we actually live in South Africa? Did we go to a township? Did we do this? Did we do that? And that takes a level of resilience, I think. So
yeah.
Back to your question, how's it made me more resilient? It's made me more resilient because I chose stuff. I chose my partner. I chose to get married against the odds. Why do you want to marry him? Is this, is that? I chose that. I knew that he's the one for me that will have a good life and a good partnership. I chose that adventure because I didn't want to be, I could have easily stayed in the suburb of London for the rest of my life, like so many of my peers and my family. I chose not to. I chose action over fear. We were in a situation where we didn't, I said we didn't know anybody, but there were potential, we had to have our wits about us, there were potentially unsafe moments, but we chose to make a life there. And I think that resilient piece comes from that mindset, knowing that it is scary, but I'm a firm believer in feeling the fear, but do it anyway. And there was a book about that came out in the 90s or 80s, 90s, I can't remember what it's called. It's called Feel the Fear, but Do It Anyway. And that has been one of my mantras that I kind of use and live by. And another poem, which I can't remember, I think the last bit of that poem says, you are a child of God, you have a right to be here. I can't remember, it's a beautiful saying. Mm-hmm. It would have been great to kind of finish up saying that here and now, but I can't even remember it. There's that piece there, and there's a piece at the end of Nelson Mandela's inaugural speech that he says, gosh, I'm a bit useless guess right now because I can't remember those two good speeches.
It's okay.
But there are some things there that I've carried around with me. Even at my workplace, I've kind of put it up on my wall. that when I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed, I think things are not going right, I look up and I read it. I thought, right, yes, still on that pathway. So going back to, I'm rambling a bit. So going back to that resilience bit, I have developed resilience without even realizing it by choosing action and a life over fear. Despite the unknown, I've kept going. So it is a bit of a mindset shift. I told myself I can do it, we can do it, we can overcome it, we will do it. So action really has helped me cultivate some level of resilience and not being frightened of experiences, going to the unknown. So I think I'm hoping that's answered your question, Quentin.
Oh yes, for sure. If you didn't have it already prepared, you did very well. I don't.
It was great.
Yeah.
Because like you said, your experiences is what made you more resilient. Like I love how you said you just got up and you packed up and you built on what was previous and not running back to what you're comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard a minister say this week, step out of your comfort zone. And so just to hear you say that is another reminder that in order to see better or in order to see growth, you have to step out of the usual.
Mm.
Absolutely.
And usually comfortable people don't grow as much as an uncomfortable person. They have a little bit more skin in the game.
Yeah.
100%. And that is why, my business is called Relationship for Growth. And because I certainly believe that you, as humans, that we need to be growing and evolving. We're not made to be static beings like a statue that doesn't move and doesn't change. We need to grow and evolve on every experience that we have, whether it's good or bad or ugly. There's a teaching there, there's a lesson there. And if we open ourselves up to taking that lesson, there's an opportunity for growth. And that is why that's always been along in all of the things that I do. My therapy practice is called Partnership for Growth. My relationship coaching business is called Relationship for Growth. That's a really important element, I think, as a human. So yeah, I completely agree with you on that, both of you.
Yes. So we're going to switch it up before we close out. I wanted to have a little fun and do a little this or that. So again, everybody, make sure you click the description box to get more information on Relationship for Growth, because we all are little seeds that need to birth out for greater.
Absolutely.
This or that.
Thank you.
Staying in or going out?
Ooh, going out, but I also like staying in. Is there a middle piece? Is there a middle piece there?
I think we all fall in the middle.
Yeah.
A little bit of out, a little bit of in.
That's right. I like that. That's me.
Coffee or tea?
Neither.
Really?
Yes, I don't really drink coffee or tea much. No.
Oh, you just drink water?
Hardly. But if you put in the middle hot chocolate, I'm your girl.
Okay. I've been on my coffee kick, but Quentin always gets on me because I love a Southern sweet tea. So when you come over here to the USA, all right.
Okay. Holding you to that.
Android or iPhone? What team?
iPhone.
Good job. Okay. Do you prefer silver or gold?
Silver.
Oh.
Silver.
Well, we're silver.
I'm a silver person.
We're silver.
Yeah.
Look, yes. Audio book or a typical book, like a traditional book?
I'm an old school girl. Typical book. A good old solid book. I will never do. I'm not a Kindle person at all. Yeah.
Sunrise or sunset?
That's a hard one because I like them both.
I say sunset.
I like sunrise.
Yeah. Sunset. I like them both, but I'm going to say sunset. Yeah.
Okay, I got one more. Well, not two. Are you considered an introvert or extrovert?
That's really hard. That's really hard because sometimes I could be really quiet and an introvert. I really can. There's moments when I can be, and there's moments when I'm quite loud and I like to laugh and have fun, and I'm an extrovert. So it I'm going to say it depends on the circumstances. If it's a party, yep, I'm in there. If it's a party.
Well, yeah, I think I'm a wallflower either way. So, but I am an extrovert with hidden introvert qualities.
Yeah.
Yes, love that. Love that. I think that sounds like me.
I guess I'm the same. Yeah. It depends on the setting.
Yeah. All right, last one. Are you a Facebook person or Instagram?
Well, at the moment, I'm on Facebook because because of business and have to be on Facebook. So I've never really done Instagram in a sense, although I've got this Instagram account which is dormant and doing not very much. So again, I just have to say Facebook only because I'm on Facebook and using it. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're both.
We're both.
Yeah.
So that's a good leeway to go ahead and tell everybody where they can follow you and connect.
Okay. So you can follow me on my Facebook page, which is Relationship for Growth. That's where I am. I'm on Instagram, but I don't really know my Instagram handle. But anyway, Relationships for Growth. You can get hold of me there on the Facebook page. You can DM me. You can leave me a message. If you're interested in, obviously, in my Relationship Transform program, yay! I'm sure there'll be a link somewhere that you can actually click into and get some more information. So thank you guys for having me on. Thank you to your community and your audience for listening. And I wish you all a lot of love, goodness, and safeness out there in the world. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate it. So everybody, you've heard it here with Miss Audrey. She came to Resilient Love first. So remember that. But anyway, this has been another great episode, and we want you guys to tune in every Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is Brianna.
And Quentin.
Signing out.
Signing out. Thank you to all listeners and subscribers. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
Leave us a 5-star review on Apple so that we can continue sharing Resilient Love. Thanks for listening.